It seems that with every passing year that goes by, fan service is continuing to become more and more prevalent and predominant within anime, and even some video games for that matter. Every corner you peek around, you'll find a clip of a half-naked girl rubbing her barely legal ass all over a motorcycle. And while this trend continues to slowly grow in popularity, many viewers are willingly turning their eyes from it in hopes to find anime that hold more value and meaning, where their precious Mongolian cartoons won't be tainted by blatant double-D cleavage. I've dipped my foot in this undisclosed cesspool for quite some time now, and I personally don't mind a little ass action to get the blood flowing every now and then, if you know what I mean. But that's not the point of this video. In all seriousness though, as this craze of fan service looms over the shoulders of such a wide audience, it brings the probability of these viewers dropping some potentially great anime, and a great example of this happening lies within the show Punchline. Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Convinced. Sorry, I know it's been nearly 2 months since I last uploaded a video, but I was reluctantly trapped inside of a dungeon for hundreds of hours, slaving away at this thing people like to call higher education. But with all that aside, I think it's time for me to talk about an anime that I've been wanting to talk about for a while ever since I finished watching it. Punchline. Punchline is a prime example of why you should never judge a book by its cover, except in this case it would be judging an anime by its first 5 episodes. But with that, here's why you should watch Punchline. Punchline is a 12-episode original anime series released in April 2015 and was produced by Studio Mappa, the same studio behind the great shows such as Hankyo no Terror and Sakamichi no Apollon. The show was also supported with the writing credits of Kotaro Yoshikoshi, the same mind behind the Zero Escape game series. If you're into reading for some reason, an ongoing manga series titled Punchline Max was spawned after the anime's conclusion, which covers the events that take place after the show, as well as a video game for the PS4 and Vita which should be released in Japan as of now, but knowing the games industry, it quite possibly could have been pushed back for some day one secret golden panty DLC. Now, here's where it gets tricky. See, the point of these videos is to get whoever's watching interested into whatever the topic of the video may be so that they can experience it for themselves if they haven't already. That means I try extremely hard to avoid spoilers so that those said experiences won't be hindered. With Punchline, it'll be particularly more difficult to do so compared to my other videos due to how Punchline is structured, so I guess this is just a half-assed way of saying I might accidentally spoil something without realizing it. So, be warned. We start off Punchline by being introduced to our main protagonist Yuta, caught in the middle of a terrorist busjacking. A bunch of cool shit goes down for a few minutes and then BAM! Yuta finds himself to be projected out of his body as a spirit. Now being guided by a spirit cat named Chiranosuke, Yuta must learn how to use his newly founded powers and protect his 4 roommates Mikatan, Ito, Meika, and Robura from ongoing conflicts within their apartment complex. But the big seller with Punchline is that if Yuta sees a pair of girls' panties twice, then this weird thing happens where a meteor crashes into the Earth and just completely obliterates the planet. Yeah, it happens to the best of us. Remember back in 2001 when I said, except in this case it would be judging an anime by its first 5 episodes? A lot of people waved off Punchline as a shallow anime due to its bizarre plot and fan service branding, but there's so much more to the show. Punchline is so cognizant of what it is, and in doing so, you're able to get so much gratuitous fun from watching it. The plot seems exceedingly far-reaching once you start that first episode, but if you decide to actually sit and watch the first 5 episodes of mediocre exposition, off-color humor, and some character building, everything will come full circle and the show will become much more rational. Sure, none of the innumerable ass shots are warranted, and hey, I don't mind them, but it oddly keeps the show on its feet. The way the writing allows these witty jokes to be sprinkled here and there makes the anime more entertaining and alive. Yoshikoshi did a great job with Punchline, and I can't praise him enough. Moving forward, I think it's time for me to talk about what I personally think is the weakest part of the show, the characters. For our main cast, we have Yuta, our misguided ectoplasmic spirit who possesses powers that involve cinnamon, Mikatan, the lighthearted and selfless girl who also secretly fights crime as the magical girl Strange Juice, Ito, the stereotypical shut-in neat who has a pet bear named Muhi, Meika, the super intelligent landlady who also happens to be a robot, and Robura, an obnoxious exorcist with a drunken wild side. Now, given the setting where the characters spend most of their time bonding and interacting with each other, it severely limits the potential for each character to develop with one another, and it definitely showed within Punchline. With the characters in such a close proximity of each other, it felt like they were limited by their surroundings. There were definitely a lot of relatable moments to be had with most of the cast, but the characterization of the show as a whole was a letdown. Having the characters explore each other almost exclusively within one apartment complex seemed like none of the characters were able to breathe or bloom. You could argue that this scenario would make for better character development, but for some reason it kinda just fell flat here. Not to say that the cast was bad or anything like that, just that they could have been better. But for what we were given, the cast was designed fairly well. The traits that each character were given created this wide pool of diversity that allowed for interesting interactions. The personalities of each character made for great comic relief and meaningful character building, especially when it comes to the later episodes. Seeing these closeted roommates evolve into extremely close friends creates this overwhelming feeling of endearment and realism. Even the side characters like Chiranosuke inject silly humor, which helps keep the show entertaining. Although the potential that could have been had with the cast wasn't brought out, there's still enough characterization to make the show funny and colorful. Speaking of color, let's talk about how much I fucking love Punchline's presentation. The design of Punchline's aesthetic perfectly encapsulates the show's theme. Its explosion of bright and vibrant color highlights a warm and pleasant tone. Added with a blend of saturated lighting and crisp animations give Punchline a highly enjoyable look. Its style is somewhat close to the likes of the Rolling Girls or anything from the Monogatari series. The attention to detail that was put into the show is incredible as well, ranging from the comprehensive backgrounds that each room in the apartment complex has, to the meticulous designs of the lingerie seen throughout the series. And my god, that animation is beautiful! I can't show too much in this video without spoiling something, of course, but believe me when I say it's so mesmerizing to look at with all of its flashiness and detail, adding even more onto Punchline's appeal. Now, surprisingly, the sound design wasn't necessarily something that made me excited. But although I say that, the show does have some impactful and intense moments with its music choice when needed, especially near the conclusion of the show. The soundtrack carries an upbeat tempo with an electronic sound for the most part, but the better tracks have a more somber and touching feel to them. So if those preteen Skrillex hits aren't doing it for you, you'll at least have something pretty to look at. Without a doubt, Punchline is an extremely underappreciated anime. As I said in the beginning, it never really got a chance to shine purely due to its absurdity. I understand that sometimes fanservice can completely yank a viewer's engagement with a show, but if you can look past Punchline's quirks, you'll be rewarded with such a lasting impression on a solid show. I like to compare Punchline to a McDonald's play place. It's colorful and fun, yet people who don't know better like to piss all over it for some reason. Hopefully it was my words that helped you decide whether or not you take a look at the show and not the shit ton of legs that I showed during the video. But with that, I'm Coastward, and I'll see you guys later. How's it going, guys? Thank you so much for watching the video. If you liked it, be sure to leave a like, a comment, and of course, be subscribed to the channel. Sorry it took so long to make this video. I was just finishing up with school and all that, but I now have a lot of free time to just grind out these videos, so I'm going to be doing that. But I'm going to leave it there for now. This was a really long video, so follow me on my social media platforms, and of course, check out the videos on the side if you enjoyed my video. But with that, I will see you guys later.